and we're going to let Rich talk, and I'm going to try and step through these. We played this one before, and it may work. Go ahead, Rich.
But everybody can hear me okay, hopefully. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. There's 8 sections of what I'm going to go through, and all of this is a build-up on covering the coal mine area of the layout. And if there's any questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll stop for it. And if anyone wants more information or more details about how I went about doing things, don't hesitate to email me, and I'd be more than glad to show you how I did it. To begin with, this photo right here, this is where I left in the last clinic when I was showing how I built the layout. In the next photo, that particular area, Bob, go back to that previous photo. In this photo right here, on that 45-degree angle wall, I had to put a tunnel back on that side. And this discussion is about building that tunnel that's underneath the coal mine area. Next slide. This right here is some of the rock walls that I made up. This is nothing more than some heavy duty aluminum foil that I crumbled all up and poured some plaster of Paris in it. When it dried, I just took it out and broke it up into pieces. And then I glued it onto a piece of cardboard that had the correct curvature in it for the tunnels. Next photo. This right here is just showing them all standing up and like soldiers. Next photo. That's the tunnel shapes going in from the one side. And then the next photo just shows them when I took them out, and then I pre-painted them. All of this was done with just diluted washes of acrylic paints, different colors, grays and browns and greens and euchres and all of that. And then the next photo, you'll see where I've got them put in place. And the next photo, that's with it in place. And then I went ahead and ballasted in there because that would be a little bit difficult to get into later on. Next photo. This is with the tunnel area covered. And then the next photo, that's the tunnel coming out the other end, which is that's just a Woodland Scenics stone cut portal that I've used there. And you can see that I've put the ballast in. I also covered up the track with some blue tape so that it didn't get all messed up in the future. Next photo. And this is the completed area with it all covered up. And that's the end of the tunnel part. The next photo.
Be patient for a minute, Rich. I got to queue up.
I'm always patient.
Okay, this one's going to be on the track and building location. We're getting there.
Okay, this is that area that was, and then I've got all of my buildings from my previous layout, and I placed them up there. And along with that, I had to develop a track plan using my existing buildings so that everything worked out. And that right there, I used templates. All of the templates are Pico track turnouts. And then you'll see the circle up there. That's where I wanted a turntable. Next slide. This is looking at the area from the other side, and you'll notice that the black insulation board that is up there, it is standing out over the tunnel portal quite a ways. And the reason for that is I had to begin with looking at how the track would wind up putting a double track girder bridge right in front of the tunnel. And I had to make sure I had enough of that insulation board. Next photo. This is looking down on it. And what I did is I put some sticks down as parallel from front to the back of the wall for the turntable where other things were sitting, just to give me an idea of when the tracks were coming in. Those were the parallel lines that it had to line up with. Next photo. This right here, you can see how I started laying out the turnouts where they would lead into the tracks that I was going to have there for the co-tipple storage tracks, run around tracks and that. And the next photo. This is where I started working on the necessary tracks for the double track girder bridge that was going to bridge over that tunnel portal. And I had to figure that out. And this was the basis for designing what had to be cut out of the insulation board so that I could put that double track bridge in. Next photo. This is just looking at it from another direction. Next photo. This is looking at the lead-in tracks to the double track girder bridge coming off of the incline that went all the way around the back wall. And this right here told me what part of the insulation board I had to remove to accomplish that. Next photo. Now, with all of that extra board removed, the tracks temporarily put in place, the turnouts identified where I needed them to be. That gave me the beginning of what I needed to do to build the double track bridge. Next photo. This is looking at all of those tracks that were going to be around the coal mine area. I just dotted out the lines and marked down where all of the buildings and structures were going to be. And that enabled me to begin designing for the coal mine diorama. If you noticed all the way up there against the back of the wall, you'll see a piece of cardboard that has some masking tape on it. That was the area that I figured, that was the area that I had available to me to design and build the coal mine. That area had to be built first before I could go anyplace else, because it was just too much to reach over and grab and do it. So the next photo.
That's it.
Okay. Then we're going to go to.
Okay, bear with me. We're going to jump over and get them.
Don't anybody be scared to ask me questions. I'm not scared to answer them.
Okay, the next one coming up is the coal mine diorama.
Yeah. Okay, next photo.
Same one.
Okay, here we go.
Is that your assistant, Rich?
I don't see anything.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that is my trustful assistant, making sure I do things right. That's my buddy. He's my supervisor. Next photo. Okay, what you see in this photo right here is the staircase, the tracks, and the looks like a wooden building coming out the right-hand side of that white stone wall. Those were the only three pieces I had left over from the coal mine that I had in Michigan. So with those pieces right there, that's why I designed this diorama around. Next photo. That there you can see those pieces put in place as I built a piece of wood and the backboard to it. And that right there is the beginning of the rocks, stone walls. All of that is just made out of plaster of Paris. Next photo. This right here is just showing all of that area filled in with cardboard and strips of paper in that. Next photo. This right here is just covering it all with, that's plaster cloth. And with the plaster cloth, after I got through plaster cloth on it, I took a real thin paste of plaster of Paris and brushed it all over to fill in some valleys and nooks and crannies. Next photo. This here I began painting the rocks. Painting the rocks here is with the same way as I did on the tunnel portals. It's nothing more than diluted washes of different colors of acrylic paints.
Hang on a minute, Rich.
Yeah.
Rich, did
Wait
you?
a minute. Larry has a question. Did you take off your mic?
Take it off?
No, did you?
No, it's here.
Is it
Can
on?
you hear me, Rich?
Yes, I can.
I saw like there were blocks of plaster of Paris. A lot of those were putting to get together then. Like
Which
right
photo?
next to the left of the tunnel portal. That piece left to the tunnel portal. No, left. Yeah, right there. You're getting around it. You're circling. Yeah, those are just blocks of plaster of Paris. Then you made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woodland Scenics has these rock molds, and all I did was pour the plaster of Paris in the rock molds, let it dry, and then put them in different locations like that. If you go with the previous photo,
Okay.
and the next one prior to that right there, you can see where the stones were placed. And then as I filled in the cardboard, as the cardboard was placed and put in place, that enabled me to go to the next picture. And that's where I covered up all of that cardboard area with plaster cloth.
Oh, okay.
And then from the next picture, that's where I began painting all of the rocks.
And you put some extra plaster on the plaster cloth.
Yeah, I put extra plaster on it so that it had more of a smooth texture to it. There were some places that I had to build up a little bit more that weren't quite correct in that. And it's just gave it a little bit more eye peeling, I guess you might say. And then the next photo, back up again.
Up.
Yeah, previous one.
Previous one. Right there, you can stay with this one right here. When you see the staircases going up to that hole at the top, that's hole up there is coal mines had what were called shuttle conveyors or coal conveyor tunnels or coal conveyor. There was another name for them. Well, out of that hole right there will be coming a coal shuttle conveyor. It's a covered housing that will attach to the coal tipple once I put that in place. Next photo. And this here is, like I said, where I began painting the rocks. Next photo. And then I went ahead and used some muddy paint to cover up all of the areas that will be covered with scenic material. Next photo. This is just showing an area down there where there's going to be a coal dump coming out of the lower part of the coal mine, and showing the staircase in place. And up there to the left of the hole at the top in the middle, that's a doorway that can go inside the top of the coal mine shaft, that area right there. Next photo. This is where I began some of the scenic work, using nothing more than woodland scenics, different, different grasses and mixtures and things like that to start scenic in it. Next photo. The trees were trees that I made from woodland or scenic express trees, and some other ones that I had made from other places. But that's where the diorama is starting to be in a position where I can now put it up against the wall where it belongs, and then not have to reach across and do a lot more work to it. All of this right here took me, let's put it this way, many hours. Next photo. That's where it is sitting up against the wall, where it's going to be in place. And if you see the two light fixtures right there, those are nothing more than some lamp posts that I made with LED lights for lighting it up the area for nighttime viewing. And the next photo. This right here is showing to the right-hand side where there's going to be a cut through coming from the hill that wraps around that side of the wall that you'll see along here a little bit later. Next photo. This is looking at that area now where I've got it filled in with cloth plaster and started painting all the rocks and things. All of this area is going to be in the area of where the double track bridge will be crossing to the right-hand side. You can see one of the one of the bridge portals off just to the right-hand side where that cork road bed is leading up to it. Next photo.
That's the end of this group.
Yep.
Okay, here we go again.
Pretty spectacular.
I don't know if you heard Randy, he said really spectacular.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it.
Sometime I'd like to come down and see it, or if we can, or whatever.
Well,
Okay,
won't
this
be
one coming
too-
up, Rich, is the double track bridge prep.
Yeah.
You hit full screen up there?
Hang on a minute, I'm trying to chase it down.
Those are mine, that's not it. Bridge prep first. You want to do full? What happened?
Okay, that's just another look at the, not all of these photos are in the correct order, so excuse the mix up, but this was part of the the cut through to get to the cut mine, just looking at more of the painting and all of that. Next photo. This right here is a mold that I made from a bunch of brick and stone patterns. And with this next photo, I filled it with plaster of Paris. And this is what it looks like when it comes out of the mold. Next photo. This is when I take that brick stone mold and I cut it and shape it and work it and everything else. This is one of the bridge portals. It's to the right-hand side of the, excuse me, bridge.
The paperwork.
Not portal.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Bridge pillars. This is to the right-hand side of the double bridge. Next photo. This is looking at that tunnel area and the two bridge, crap, I still keep forgetting the name of them. Anyway, the bridge supports on either side for the double track bridge. Next photo.
Rich, we got a comment in there.
Sure, yeah,
Abutments,
yeah.
I think, is what you're looking for.
Pardon?
I'll see how it goes, but I think.
Abutments.
Maybe the last time, I don't know.
Really.
Yeah, raised.
Abutment.
Souls.
Right. Abutments.
Oh, really?
And that right there is looking at looking at the tunnel portal and all of the plaster rocks that are put in place. Next photo. That's everything put in place, started painting the rocks that you can see there. Next photo. That's looking at the I forgot the name of the damn things again. The bridge. Help me out here again, Bob. My brain is going out on me. Those are the
Abutment.
supports.
Abutments?
Abutments. I'm going to have to write that damn word down. But there's showing the bridge abutments in place for the double track bridge. Next photo. That right there is just showing all of some of the work done as far as scenicking the cut through up to the coal mine. Next photo.
It's the end of this sequence. Here we go again.
Okay. Now that I probably don't have to say the word abutments anymore, I won't be able to get it out of my brain. That is sad.
No problem.
Okay, this right here is now the prep work was done for the double track bridge. The abutments were in place. From that, I had to make the bents for the Girder Bridge. And this is what I just drew them out on some cardboard lines and glued some little blocks of wood in place and then cut the wood for the bents that I had designed to fit in it. And there were 3 different ones that had to be done to accomplish this. So the next photo, I had to make the girders. There were 2 different girders that had to be made, both of them different lengths because of the way they spread out across the curved track coming out of that tunnel. And I made these out of black styrene, and then I just cut thin strips of wood and glued them on perpendicular to the sides. Next photo. That's showing them glued together and put in place. Next photo. I used strips of wood at the distance or the spacing that I needed for which you'll see in the coming pictures, but that's the girder bridges completed. And then I went ahead and I weathered them and finished painting them. Next photo. This is those girders set upside. Well, let's start off with this right here. The white object that you see right there is a piece of Corian that I have. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and it's about 3 foot long and about 18 inches wide. And I use it for building a lot of my buildings, bridges, and things like this. So I drew on that piece of Corian the complete layout for the bridge upside down. And then I began laying the long strips of wood that you can see there from left to right. Those were the long strips of wood for the tracks that would be going over the top of the bridge. You can see that I have the girders in place, and I have started setting the, now I got another word I can't remember. Started building the bents for the bridge. Next photo. There you can see the bridge is just about completed. I turned it on its side right here so that I could start gluing the strips of wood on for the reinforcement strips to hold everything in place. Next photo. This is looking at the bridge completed upside down. And the way that it's held in place, if you take a look all the way to the right-hand side, you'll see those light colored pieces of wood right there. All I did was just build those up and glue them in place so they hold the long strips of wood and everything in place. And all I have to do is remove those to remove the bridge from that piece of Corian. Next photo. This is the bridge in place, spanning both of the bridge abutments. And while it was, I had it before I put it up there, I finished weathering the girders. Next photo. This is just looking at it from the other direction. And in that opening right there, you can just about see part of the tunnel that's behind it. You'll notice that the girder bridge, I've got it standing up proud of the surface of the layout. And the reason for that was that the bridge is on just a very slight incline from right to left. And rather than to make the girders fit all the way from top to bottom, I built it like this. And then after it was done, I cut little spacers to fit underneath there to hold the bridge up appropriately. Next photo. This is showing the bridge from the top view, and now you can see those long strips of wood that I used that were glued or that were held down on that piece of Corian so that I could build the bridge. And next photo, I think that's the last photo of the bridge build.
Yep, that's the last one. Here we go again.
Okay.
Anybody have a question?
I'm absorbing.
Okay, coming up is building the turntable.
Yeah. Okay, this is something that I've always wanted to have on my layout and something that I've always wanted to build. I have seen many of them at people's layouts over the years, and all it was done, the ones that they used nothing more than this simple little old Atlas plastic plain old turntable. And that's what it looks like when you take it out of the box. Next photo. With that right there, you'll notice the circle part of it. I completely disassembled the turntable and only saved the parts that I needed. The turntable, you have to take it and sand it down and rough it up real good so that the glue has some etching when you go to glue the wood to the deck of it. Next photo. That's all of that wood glued onto the table. And the only thing I did for using the placement of the wood is I followed the exact same placement that was on the turntable that came from Atlas. All I did was follow their layout for the wood. The next photo, that's with it all the edges cut and trimmed down and sanded out and completed. The two long stripes going from east to west are places where the rails go in for the track, and the hole in the center is where a screw goes in to hold that on to the form that you'll see here in a minute. I will make a little cover that goes over where that screw holds it in place. Next photo. In this photo right here, this is the parts of the turntable that I've built. The outer ring is the portion of the plastic turntable that I filled in the slots and covered it with a wood walkway. Those are some of the uprights of the supports and the cross beams for the turntable. Next photo. This is looking at it from a different angle. All of the pieces that I used for make-believe braces and things of that nature, they're just things that I got from Tichy Train. They're just augmentals and iron supports and things of that nature. Next photo. This is when it was completed, and this was not difficult to do, but it was time consuming and tedious. If anybody wants me to do a clinic for them on this or to give them information on how to do it, I thought this thing was going to be impossible to do. It's the work isn't that difficult. It's just very tedious, taking your time. And I really wish that someone had a YouTube or whatever on how to go about doing this to ease my mind on making one. But once I got started and started doing it, I began to realize it was nothing more than making a design that I was comfortable with and taking my time about doing it. All of the bits and pieces are just from the Atlas kit, pieces of basswood. The ropes are nothing more than what is called fishing line, and it's braided fishing line. And all of the augmentals were from Tichy Group. And that should be the end of the turntable.
Yep, here we go again. The trestle.
Yep. Okay. For the other things to take place before I started laying track in the coal mine area, I wanted a trestle that on the left-hand side when you were looking at the coal mine. So this is the area that had to be cut out where you see the two little hash marks. And the black line is nothing more than the center line of where I wanted the track and the trestle. Next photo. From that, I made a little bit of a template sectioned off into 4 sections for the trestle. that follow the same curvature for the trestle. Next photo. This is showing the track that goes across the trestle area and the cutout area of where the trestle will be. Next photo. This is the bents, and the bents were all the same design all the way through for the trestle build. They were just only had to be different lengths for the trestle. Next photo. That is using that piece of Corian again, and you'll see the template up there that I used to section off those 8 different sections, placing little pieces of basswood, glued them to the Corian, and then I had the shape for the roadway that went across the top of the trestle.
Hey,
Next
Rich.
photo. Yeah.
Dumb question. What did you use to clean off the Corian?
Once it gets cleaned off, all you do is just take some real light sandpaper to scrape off any excess glue or just a sharp edge of a knife. Sand it down real lightly, and then I take nothing more than lacquer thinner and wipe it all clean, and now you've got a complete clean slate to start all over. That answer your question?
I'm turning the mic on and off. So there's the reason I didn't jump back. Yeah, that answered the question.
Okay. But Corian is real easy to work with. To hold those little pieces of wood in place that are there to hold the main pieces, the ones that are not stained at all I do is I glue them in place with just a teeny bit of super glue. And to remove them, I just take the edge of a razor blade or what's called a square blade X-Acto knife and break them loose of it. Next photo. This is with the bents put on in place. And there you can see the finished road bed that would be lined up on the top of the trestle. Next photo. This is looking at the trestle completed and with all of the cross members to hold everything in place. Next photo. This is with it up and out of the piece of Corian holding it in place. And now it's ready for the track roll bed and the handrail for walking across the trestle. Next photo. This is looking at it with the roll bed and all of the cross members put in place and the walkway that will be for people to walk back and forth across the trestle. Next photo. This is looking at the bridge and the handrail in place, and it's ready for track. Next photo.
One.
Is there one more
Go
set?
again.
Yeah, there's one more photo.
There weren't any in. Oh, wait a minute.
I think there's another set of photos.
I'm
Yeah,
missing one. Hang on a minute. I'm going to get back to it.
Yeah, the very last photo was showing the trestle in place, in position.
Mm. Mhm.
Okay. And of course, then that's the photo of looking at the trestle in place. And remember in my last presentation I gave about the layout, the wow factor that you can put into a layout. And this would be the very first thing people see when they come into the layout. The trestle, the turntable, and the tunnel coming out from the left-hand side. This hopefully will be my wow factor on the layout. And we can go to the next one. This section right here is now that everything, all of the things are out of the way so that they don't get damaged, hopefully, in laying all of the track. And that's going to be the next portion of it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, this is nothing more than beginning the laying of the track. And the first thing that had to be done was to get the track laid on top of the bridge and in place and attached to the lead in turnouts to the double track bridge. All of that had to be done first because trying to lay track afterwards would have been almost impossible. So this is the beginning of laying that track across the bridge. Next photo. This is just looking at it from the other angle to show the work taking place. Next photo. This is just showing the track coming in. You can see where the turntable hole is for that. I removed the turntable so that didn't get damaged in the process of laying the track. And the next photo.
Rich,
Yes.
what did you use to hold the track down?
I use what's called Alex. It also comes with the name of DAP. It's nothing more than clear caulk. It comes out white, but it dries clear. And all I do is I've put that down, spread it down, and I use those 1, 2, 3 blocks. I use pins and whatever to hold the track in place till it dries. I use pins a lot, and the reason for that is to hold the track in the position that you want it to be when it's dry. One thing I always stress, and I only stress it because so many people have told me this, the major thing to do is to make sure that your track work is the best that you can possibly do. If there's one thing that you really hate is derailments, things not running right, rolling away from you, and this and that and the other. And I do spend a lot of time on laying my track to help prevent those problems from occurring. It's not that something won't come up, but spending the time on laying the track to me is paramount. The one thing I enjoy doing is running trains and not fixing things that trains can't run on. Next photo.
Yeah.
And this is looking at it with all of the track in place and ready for more track to be laid. Next photo. This is showing it with everything, looking at it head on with the turntable in place and the track completed and all of that. If you look off to the right-hand side, at the top right-hand side, you can see where I have finished the track on the incline coming up to the coal mine, and I've already started the track on down below going around the rest of the layout. Next photo. And the next photo. Now this photo right here, you can see that I have a bunch of turtles lined up. They were boogers to put together with all the wiring and everything. And they were boogers putting in. Those are 76. I've already installed 18 that were needed up on the coal mine area. And these are the remainders that had to be installed. I installed the last one Friday, and I took yesterday off.